Is Victor Wembanyama losing steam for his chase for the NBA MVP? And let's preview tonight's Spurs-Mavericks game. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Spurs In Focus right here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. What else you got? The YouTube podcast? Even on YouTube Music? Seriously, pick a platform. You'll find Spurs In Focus. We appreciate you subscribing. You guys are pumping up those numbers. I appreciate it. Our guests appreciate it. We all do. Don't forget about the Spurs In Focus Substack. It's completely free. I hear a rumor our guest actually going to buy the next 50 subscribers because it's free. So look how generous he's going to be. My name is Jeff Garcia, a longtime Spurs writer in San Antonio, and welcome back to Spurs In Focus. What are we talking about today? See on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. If not, I'll let you know. Victor Wembanyama and the chase for the MVP. Seems is kind of cooling off, right? Yeah, not a lot of buzz of late. Why is that happening? Should fans be up in arms, flipping tables, giving their TVs and throwing it out the window? We'll talk about that. We'll give you the updated odds, and it doesn't look pretty for Victor Wembanyama. Then preview tonight's Spurs and Mavericks game. Mavericks, do you really want to win this? Don't you want to get a couple extra L's for that lottery? We're going to be talking about that and more. By the way, guess who's back, everybody? Yeah. I know you've been waiting for this day, right? What a better way to close out the week here at Spurs In Focus than bringing on that man. Look who is back, everybody. Mr. James Espinosa with the Sports Rush over at Corpus Christi. Yeah, you want to go and follow him right now. He is on X at Sir Edward James. Is that correct? Yeah, exactly. Go follow him right now. It is just a phenomenal follow. You want to do that ASAP. What else you want to know? Yeah, host of the Sports Sunday Rush, 9 to 11 a.m. James, welcome back to Spurs In Focus.
Jeff, always a great time. Spurs In Focus. After our show last week, I was wondering would I ever be back, and lo and behold, a week later or so, I'm back with the man who is known as the Godfather of Spurs media.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Feels good to be back, Jeff. Let's dive in, man. Let's dive in.
Yes, go for it. So your San Antonio Spurs have this guy. He's an alien. Right? I know we call him that, right? He could do no wrong on the court, right? He is just unstoppable. And he had a lot of steam toward midway through the regular season, but getting the award, the best player in the league, the NBA MVP. You could turn on James's show out in Corpus Christi. He was talking about it. Here, Spurs In Focus, ESPN, pick somewhere, and it was all Wemby this, Wemby that for MVP. But James, you fast forward to today, close of the regular season imminent, and there's not a lot of buzz. It's kind of cooling off, isn't it, James?
It is, Jeff. Since the last time we talked, the Wemby hype, the Wemby for MVP train was full force, man. And it feels in these past 7-8 days or so that has just kind of slowed down. The momentum has slowed down, and you're starting to see a bunch of media members, and you're starting to see the takes out there fly that, well, it was always SGAs. Yeah. Wemby put up a good fight, and it does feel like it's lost steam, unfortunately, for our Victor Wembanyama, for the alien out in San Antonio. And maybe because in these past 4 games, he hasn't played in 2 of them.
Yeah.
He's been out, so he's lost some valuable minutes in this MVP race to put up another 30-plus point game, put up another 15 rebound game, another, multi-block game, 3, 4, 5 block game that could really capture the voters' eyes in the waning moments of the season. Unfortunate that he did get hurt, against the Sixers, didn't play against the Clippers last week. And then, of course, didn't play against the Trailblazers the other night. So I think he has been shifted to the background of some of these voters. And yeah, man, I would have to agree. Unfortunately, have to agree that Wemby has lost some steam heading into the final couple of days of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And then as of this recording, he is actually questionable for tonight's game versus the Mavericks. So more on that in a bit. But nevertheless, it looks like it's running out of steam. And just how bad is it? Well, let's take a look at the updated Vegas odds. And according to DraftKings, Mr. James, Wemby is now a plus 2,000. that guy in OKC, that quick point guard, the the foul baiter.
Yeah.
Anyway, minus 10,000.
Yeah, that's that's going to be a tough one to overcome, man.
It is
1,000. That's pretty much a lock at this point, James.
Yeah, it is.
One would say, and then but it was a good run, man. Like no one's going to be disappointed at the season that Victor Wembanyama put up. If he finishes second in the MVP voting, which is more than likely going to happen, you're going to look back at year 3 of Victor and say, man, this was the year that he really vaulted himself into the top tier, the top echelon of NBA players. He's now up there, Jeff. He has now become even more household than he was last year or even his rookie year, because I do feel that it took this type of season, it took this type of winning from the Spurs to get to 60+ wins, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And we talked about that before, how mind-blowing 60+ wins is for this team this year. But it took all of that, a perfect storm, and for Wemby to finally kind of capture more of the casual eyes, more of the national eyes, and just more of the general NBA fan eyes than what he once had, in my opinion. So, look, this is a good year for him. Most likely finish with the 24.8 points per game, the 11.5 rebounds per game, and, of course, the 3.1 blocks per game. That is an incredible year. In any other year, that would be an MVP. He's just running up against a buzzsaw in SGA who, let's face facts, man, voters like guys who could score points and score in bunches, and he's averaging about 31 points per game, Jeff. That will probably end up doing it for the MVP race. But exciting times. If I have to guess, Jeff, and place a lifetime wager, right? Let's say I could place some sort of wager lifetime, and you ask me, will Wembanyama win one MVP in his career?
Yes.
You're placing that bet, man. It's going to happen for the man eventually. He put up a heck of a fight. I just don't think it's happening this year.
Yeah, the big reason, according to DraftKings, why the massive dip for Wemby is, and you hit it on the head, injuries. Injuries late in the season. Immediately, according to DraftKings, saw, quote, his odds drop from top contender to second place. That is the biggest reason. And look, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Victor, as much he would want that, I think he would rather pick up some W's in the real season in just a few short weeks than getting an award. Now, look, he's a competitor. He's going to get that. But all hope is not lost. That DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year award, you might as well just give it to him right now. Why are we even waiting? It's just a formality, right? All team, first NBA, give it to him right now. He's going to pick up some hardware.
Yes.
Soon as the regular season is over. Good news for James, though. He's prepared for that bad news that SJ is going to get the award because he already has the liquor behind him. I see it on his screen there. Yeah,
he's right there, man.
He's ready. He's going to have one for Wemby when SGA's name is likely to be called. But as James, you hit on the head. Overall, what a third year.
Yes.
From the rookie season, then the unfortunate blood clot issue he had in the sophomore season till now. His star is just shooting through the roof right now into the stratosphere. He will be an NBA MVP down the road.
Yes.
But James, I look at Wemby, though. Let's talk about those injuries before we get into the game preview tonight. Are you a little concerned about that? They sat him out, versus Philly. He's questionable as of this recording for Dallas tonight. Are you a little concerned about that injury, or you think he's just the Spurs being the Spurs?
Man, there's a part of me, you look at how big of a man that Wemby is, right? The big stature. Sometimes big guys tend to get hurt, man, and that's plagued a lot of big men before, especially in the lower extremities. But according to what's being reported out there, it's a left rib contusion, and he did have an MRI, and the reports are saying it came back clean, showing no major damage. So I'm not exactly too worried. I think right now the Spurs already have the second seed locked in. You're not going to catch the OKC Thunder for the number 1 spot. The key thing is this. The award eligibilities, Jeff, we forget about this, right? Wemby needs to play in one more game, Jeff. He needs to get in one more game, playing at least, from what my knowledge is, 20 or more minutes in that game to be able to be eligible for some of these awards like the Defensive Player of the Year. So they got the game tonight against the Mavs. They got the game Sunday against Denver. Man, if it sucks because you want him to have those awards, and at the same time, you're kind of torn because you're like, well, the real prize could come in the middle of June when you're hosting a Larry O'Brien and maybe hosting an NBA Finals MVP award. I do think the Spurs try to fit him in, though. I think they try to fit him in.
I'm with you.
I think they try to fit him in probably Sunday. I'm not sure about tonight, but I think in one of these next two games, he for sure is going to get in, Jeff, because they want him to hit that threshold of 65 games for these NBA accolades.
Yeah. He's got to play those 20-ish minutes. If not, then James Espinosa is going to take the DPOY from him. You know, you got to play, man, or else that guy seeing your screen and everybody's going to get that DPOY. Streets are saying, James, that you actually block a Wemby repeatedly in practice. Is that true?
Oh man, if that's what the streets are saying, I can neither confirm nor deny. We'll just let the rumors continue to grow my legend.
The legend grows. Circling back though to those 20 minutes that he's got to play, to get qualified and all that good stuff there. Honestly, I'd rather see him play tonight than versus Denver. Let's get this over with already.
Okay.
Let's get the 20 minutes ish done. Sit him down, and the good news is, for me at least, if they play him tonight at minimal minutes, then he could probably have an extended time off. Not just him, but the rest of the team. Don't forget, everybody, just because the Spurs regular season ends does not mean the playoffs begin in 2 days. They got to wait till the play-in tournament's over.
Yes.
And then they play the playoffs. So that's about a good standard weekish. But for Wemby, he can probably get a couple extra days. So that's why I want to see this. Let's get this over sooner than later. What do you think about that?
You know what? That's a very fair point and a logical point made by yourself, Jeff. If they want to get it done tonight, and you also got to think about the aspect of, do you want to throw Wemby out there again against a Nuggets team who could possibly be a playoff opponent, right? You kind of want to maybe keep him under wraps, not have him exert himself too much going up against Jokic and Aaron Gordon and all those guys that the Nuggets possess, So, that does make a lot of sense to me. If they can get him in tonight, then that'd be fantastic. Get him in tonight, and then that would give him, like you said, about 8 days or so of rest until game 1 of the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. So, hey, man, if they can, go for it. I just don't know if they want to. It's like I said, it's delicate, man. How do you manage this? How would you manage this? But I'm tending, after hearing your point, Jeff, I agree with what you're saying. Probably want to fit him in tonight, then throw him against the Nuggets and Jokic.
Yeah. Exactly, because as of now, Denver could be playing for something for their last, movement. Although it's likely they're probably going to be stuck at 3 round there, and they'll fall into the Spurs side of the tournament. So there it is. And also, you don't want to give Denver too much more information on Wemby. You don't want to show your cards in case they play each other down the road. But nevertheless, it doesn't look like Victor is going to be hoisting up an NBA MVP trophy, but maybe the real trophy later this playoff season. Crossing fingers. If not, James is ready. Look at all that liquor he has. He's ready to go and drown it. Either way, it's going to work for James because at least he has a celebration on hand, or he has a moment to mourn the Spurs season. He's going to
either toast one to the sorrows or toast one in victory, Jeff. Either way. Either way. Yep.
He is Mr. James Espinosa. You follow him on X at Sir Edward James. But more importantly, you want to go to 1440 Keys AM out in Corpus. He is the host of the Sunday Sports Rush, 9 to 11. Go check it out. It's a great show. Beyond Spurs Talk, it's everything in the world of sports. Seriously, it's a great show. Go check it out. Hey, James, you want to preview tonight's Spurs-Mavericks game?
Yeah, man. Let's take a quick look at that.
Subscribe to Spurs in Focus. Resistance is futile.
All right, so your San Antonio Spurs are back in action tonight. The regular season is winding down like that. It is closing up. But they got to take care of some business. And tonight they got the Dallas Mavericks. The in-state rivals, or I guess ish right now. Dallas, San Antonio, total opposite ends of the spectrum right now. Spurs are playing for something. Dallas is playing for something, but it's called getting those lottery odds higher and higher and higher. So, Dallas, do you really want to win tonight? Do you really want to see that happening? James, let's take a look at the tail of the tape here. And there you have it, Spurs-Mavericks. And you can see very lopsided Spurs in major statistical categories. But if anything, what jumps out at you, James, when you look at this matchup?
You know, what really jumps out to me is how much points that the Mavericks give up per game. You know, ranking 24th in the NBA, bottom third in that specific category. And then the 3-point percentage as well, 28th in the NBA for the Mavericks and shooting threes. Look, you can look at what the Mavs have done this year, and obviously they got a bigger plan in play.
Yeah.
They could have maybe brought back Kyrie Irving a little bit earlier, right? If they wanted to win some games. But if you follow the Mavs and if you're a Spurs fan, you tend to follow what that team in Dallas is doing because they're a rival, right? I know I do. I try to follow what they're doing. I've enjoyed watching the young Cooper Flagg, who will most likely be the NBA Rookie of the Year. As of this recording, he's the odds favorite, just ahead of Nipple of the Charlotte Hornets, who's another fantastic player in his own right. But look at what the Mavs have done. This is obvious. They're trying to acquire more ping pong balls. They're trying to get as high in the lottery as they can. And we've seen this story before, Jeff. Not too long ago, this Spurs team was trying to do the same thing after they landed their generational superstar. So I kind of see the Mavs in that transitional phase like the Spurs were a couple seasons back. They're probably not going to go the hardest tonight. They're going to give it a serviceable effort, but San Antonio has had their way with the Mavericks all season long. You know, 3-0 against the Mavs. The last game coming February the 7th, 138-125. Each time that the Spurs and Mavs have played this year, they've put up 125 points or more, and twice they've gone over 135. So, look, they're going to score on this team with Victor or without Victor. That is still to be determined as of this recording. But, hey, man, I'm just looking forward to some nice basketball, and I want to see this young Mavericks team be competitive because, in my opinion, Jeff, when the Mavs are good and the Spurs are good, things are a little bit better in the NBA in Texas. I love that rivalry. And as Spurs fans, the Spurs team, they're going to have to be putting up with what the Mavs are going to be building here in this next year or two, because I firmly believe that Cooper Flagg, he's going to get himself up there, man. He's already looking incredible as a 19-year-old rookie. Scored 50-plus points the other night. I think he was the first ever 19-year-old to score 50-plus points, which is insane. I'm just looking forward to a nice, decent matchup, but I think the Spurs in the end are probably going to win by about 10 or plus points. Look,
Spurs, just be cool.
Yes.
You know, don't risk injury. You know, if you know, somebody just, if Vassell looks like he's walking gingerly, all right, take him out. He's done for the
exactly.
That's the point I am right now with this team. But you're right. The Spurs have beaten the Mavericks 3 straight this season, but overall, they've won 4 in a row versus Dallas, dating back to last season. And look, to the Spurs and Mavericks credit, there have been close games. Look at the last game. Spurs won 138-125. The previous game, 135-123. Relatively close-ish. So it should be at least a fun time.
Yeah,
you know, also another
fun.
Yeah, it is. Another sub story I'm looking at too is the number 2 pick versus the number 1 pick. You know, Harper and Flagg. I think that'll be fun. You know, Harper. It's. I guess I want to use the word unfortunate. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's fortunate for him to be on the Spurs side of things right now. Can you imagine if he got drafted number 1? Isn't playing in Dallas right now, and they're playing for the lottery, and Flagg is, you know, on this side, you know, playing for a possible title run. So Brett Harper is fine with it, but you know, you got to give it to Harper. If he had been anywhere else, man, he could be in the mix for Rookie of the Year, couldn't he?
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's if you're Dylan Harper, you know that's probably the case, right? You go number 1, you're probably averaging more than the 22 minutes you're getting per game with the Spurs. You're probably averaging more than the 11.8 points per game. You're getting a lot more volume with the ball, etc. You're getting a lot more run. But at the same token, right, Dylan Harper, you know, if I could put myself in his mind for just a tad moment, the great mind of the young Dylan Harper, you got to kind of feel lucky, man, that you joined a ready now team and you could be alongside Victor Wembanyama, and you're only going to benefit from that, man.
Yeah.
There's going to come a time someday where Dylan Harper is in the starting five, where Dylan Harper is getting majority of minutes in the backcourt. He's going to be that type of player, Jeff. Who knows how soon that might come, right? But for the young rookie, the experience that he got this year, the way he has impacted the game on several fronts, Jeff, not just with his offensive prowess, not just with his ability to create when he has the ball in his hands, get to the hole, finish strong, but also defensively, Jeff. He's been a little bit of a terror out there for opposing teams. Yeah. You know, so I've enjoyed everything I've seen out of him. And there was a scenario, Jeff, let's not forget, there was a scenario during the lottery where the Spurs almost got the number 1 pick again.
Yeah,
and
close.
I mean, the alternate universe, the multiverse, so to speak, of the NBA could have had Cooper Flagg on this Spurs team and Dylan Harper on that Mavericks team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just the ping pong balls went the Mavs way, but I think it worked out for everybody.
It did.
And
It did.
Dylan Harper, man, he's going to get his shine. He's going to get a lot of flowers very soon. I do like this first year for him, and I think it was outstanding rookie season for Dylan Harper.
Yeah, definitely going to be in that all-rookie team. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it as well. You know, looking back at the draft, though, James, I think for the Spurs, it was win-win. If Harper had gone 1, great. We got Flagg, and Flagg would have addressed the need for the forward spot. In that would flip, great. You know, now the Spurs got a potent backcourt, you know, so the Spurs were sitting pretty at number 2. So I always thought it'd be, a coin flip and Spurs would win out.
It's an interesting thought exercise. How different would the Spurs be if they would have got that number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg?
Hey,
right?
remember when Spurs fans were getting all up in arms about Knipple? Oh,
yes.
I forgot who it was. Imagine the Spurs had picked Knipple at 2. You know, that would have been very interesting.
That would have been interesting. And I've heard that argument before about how his shooting could extremely help this team right now. I mean, they could have went a multitude of ways, but it worked out in the end for everyone. And Harper with the Spurs, it seemed to be a perfect fit.
Absolutely. I'm going to take Spurs tonight. I'm assuming you're going to take the Spurs tonight as well.
Yeah, I'll go Spurs tonight. I'm going to go double digits, man.
Okay.
Give me about a 12 to 13 point win.
Yeah, I'm with you too. And again, Spurs, just get those 20 minutes out of the way for Wemby and then sit them down for the rest of the regular season and that long break for the play-in tournament. I think that's the prudent thing to do. Hey, what about y'all? Do y'all think the Spurs will get the W tonight? And what do you think about Wemby's case for the MVP? Kind of losing steam right now. You want to let James know on X immediately at Sir Edward James. Again, he is with 1440 Keys AM in Corpus, host of the Sunday Sports Rush. I am on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. And don't forget to subscribe to Spurs In Focus Substack. Hey, I know, James, you got a few more minutes, so I'm going to get a little nerdy with you just to close out.
Let's go.
Nerd! All right, James. The last time you were on, you talked about science fiction books, your passion for science fiction books, and you gave your recommendations. Since we last spoke, have any other books popped up in your head that you want to recommend to everybody?
Yeah, so I currently started a new book. Over the past week, I started a new book. I'm about 140 pages in out of a 400 and I'd say 50-page book here. Wow, so this one's kind of one of the more popular books out right now in the science fiction realm, Jeff. It is I'm gonna flip the book around. Sure. It is it's called Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman.
I heard about this one.
And okay, so what makes this book extremely unique, and allow me to nerd out for a quick minute here.
No, that's what the segment's all about, man. Nerd. I mean, look, hey James, look behind me right now. You should. Yeah.
So Dungeon Crawler Carl is a book that is about it's a post-apocalyptic dystopian type of book, but it is in the realm of a lit RPG, literature RPG. It has video game elements into the book. So when you're reading the book, the character that you are reading, Carl, the main character, he has to level up all his attributes. He has to go through levels. There's boss fights. There's kind of like game menus that you're reading while you're going through the book. Achievements will pop up. Just imagine yourself playing a role-playing game, an RPG style game, but you're reading the book version of that. Aliens, of course, involved. Earth at peril, and Carl, the dungeon crawler, has to find his way through this RPG style world. While he's also, this is the thing about it. I mentioned that it has video game style within it, right, Jeff? He's put into a game show that is being broadcasted across the galaxy that he has to survive. So, I mean, it's one of the more interesting books that I've read. It's not the conventional sci-fi book. I am really enjoying the style. It's funny, it's hilarious, but it's also pretty deep, and it also makes you question a few things about, of course, a lot, life and space and all that stuff. Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. That is my book of the month.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it part of a trilogy or a series?
Oh, so okay, yeah. There's about 8 books.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
there's a lot of them. This is book 1. Of course, I barely started, and there's just supposed to be a new book coming out here within the next month or 2.
It's that popular.
It's very popular. It's probably one of the hottest sci-fis out right now. It's very unique in that aspect. Very, very unique. I would recommend it if you want more of a video game RPG style of a read. It's different. It's different. Let me tell you, it's different, but it's fun. It's fun.
Do you think it'll translate well into a movie or a TV series?
So I think I would like to see it more adapted into a series, because there's just a lot of there's just a lot going on, and I think a TV series would be able to capture more of the source material. So I think it'd be good. I think it would be good. It just depends, of course, who's acting and all that stuff, who's directing, but it's a good enough story, in my opinion, to be adapted.
You know what? I think the best venue for this would be animation, based on what you do. I think with animation, you can probably cram more of the book and its elements into an animation, because in animation, you can go wild.
Yeah. So whenever I'm reading the book, I'm using my imagination. Of course, I'm getting my brain going.
SpongeBob imagination.
I do. When I'm reading the book, I picture the characters in my head as animated characters. So it's funny that you bring that up. That's kind of how I picture this world that's being portrayed by Matt Dinniman. Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'd recommend that for those who want a different style of sci-fi read.
I feel like I should be lifting up like a teacup in this very sophisticated moment in the Spurs segment here. Oh, do tell us more about these books and this literature.
Do tell. Maybe that could be every time I come on.
Yeah.
I'll give you my book of the month, or just some updates on what I'm doing reading wise in our Let's Nerd Out segment. So that sounds fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I appreciate it too, because trying to read more is what I'm doing. What I'm reading right now kind of doesn't compare to what you just showed us, but I'm reading the compendium of every freaking single Transformer comic that came out since the 80s until now. I'm like almost finished with volume 1. Volume 2 still picks up with the Marvel era, and when it transitioned to, I think it was Dark Horse. But get this, volume 3, I already bought it. It's in hand. That covers the comics when it was over in the UK, when the UK artists and writers took over. So that one I'm looking forward to, because I heard on the streets that one's a lot more grimier and grittier and tougher than maybe what Marvel was a lot.
Yeah. So I'm taking a look at what you're talking about, the Transformers compendium.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
These, I mean, they look pretty thick, Jeff.
They're huge, man. They're like
So you're telling me it's all the comics ever created in one book.
In one book, yeah.
So you can just keep flipping and flipping and flipping, and it's the whole saga.
Yes.
That's freaking incredible, dude.
Yeah. And let me tell you, based on like the movies, like in how they portray Megatron and in the cartoon series, pales in comparison to how brutal he is in the
I have heard that the comic book is a lot more grittier, so to speak, and they get their elbows a little bit more dirty.
Yes. There's one arc where I'm not spoiling anything because he's been out since the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
There's one arc where Megatron got stuck in his gun form, like he couldn't transform out of his gun form, and the Mafia and the mob found out about it and how they use it.
God.
And that was an incredible arc. I was like, wow. When he snaps out of it and he finally realizes, okay, I can get out of this.
Yeah.
Because as you're reading that the whole Mafia and the war that it's going through, and he's being used as leverage because the one crime boss has it. You can see his thought bubbles, and he's hating life. He's pissed off. He's like, these fleshings are using me. I can't believe this. And then when he finally snaps out of it, he wants to kill the human.
He wants to go after.
He wants to go after it. Wow. But get this, he pauses. He says, "You know what? I would have done the same thing." And then he walks away. Oh, I thought that was perfect. Wow, that was perfect.
Damn, that's pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty deep right there.
That's pretty deep right now.
I like it, man. That's good stuff.
It's good stuff. It really is good stuff. And now your nerd segment is over. But hey, you cannot forget about the silver and black, right? What do y'all think about the Spurs topics on this episode? Wemby's losing steam for MVP. You're pissed off, you're upset, you're mad, you're happy. Let us know what you think. Is he going to get robbed? And also, what do you think about tonight's Spurs-Mavericks game, toss away game, or Wemby get his minutes over? Let us know ASAP. You let James know on X at Sir Edward James. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurzo. You need to brag about the Sunday Sports Rush. Tell us.
Yeah, man. So every Sunday, we were, of course, off last week for Easter, but we're back live this Sunday. Going to go over the NBA playoff scenarios. Going to talk Spurs, where they're at in the moment. We're just a fun show, man. We cover all things Texas, national. Sunday Sports Rush. We're on News Talk KEYS 1440 AM, and we have an FM channel.
Nice.
98.7 FM. You can find us online, 1440keys.com. We have an app, 1440 Keys app. And of course, find us anywhere you go, because after our live show is done, we do put it in podcast form. So Apple, Spotify, all of the major podcast platforms, just search Sunday Sports Rush, download it, and enjoy, man. I think y'all guys would enjoy the show.
Absolutely. I am a guest there, and I do enjoy it. The guys there put on a bang-up show. Again, if you needed something beyond Spurs, just sports in general, he is the man to go to. Best way to do it, just follow him on X. It's real simple.
Yes.
At Sir Edward James. There you can find all the links, the shows, everything he puts it out there. He's really good about that. James, thank you for closing out this week here in Spurs in Focus. We appreciate it. And we appreciate the book recommendation too. I saw it piqued my interest, man.
Anytime, Jeff. I'm always a big fan of yours and what you do. And hey, let's go Spurs, go. Playoff push.
Yes.
Playoffs are here, San Antonio. Playoffs are here, Spurs fans. Let's get it.
Let's get it, yes. And something tells me this won't be the last time James is on Spurs in Focus, especially with the playoffs right around the corner.
Yeah, Jeff, you want us, Jeff, when it playoff James hasn't been
there's playoff James
in 7 years.
So should we put away all that liquor behind you then?
I'm telling you right now, get me on a show during the playoffs. If it's a big win or a loss, you will see playoff James. And that's a different level, Jeff. It's a different level. I step my game up as the playoffs come, Jeff. I will. Let's go.
Happen. I need to see that happen right here on Spurs in Focus. James, as always, thank you so much for joining us here. And again, closing out the week. And everybody else, we thank you all for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Don't go to the other shows. You want to just come right here to Spurs in Focus on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Pocket Cast, YouTube Music. Seriously, there's a YouTube Music channel for Spurs in Focus. Go subscribe. Don't forget about the Substack. It's completely free. As I mentioned in the intro, James is buying the first 50 subscribers. That's how generous he is. He's going to buy the first 50 subscribers, 50 subscriptions. Just go hit subscribe, and he's paying for it. So easy as that. We'll likely be back on Monday as the Spurs season will be wrapped up, and we're getting ready for playoffs. So we'll definitely be looking forward to Monday's show. So for Mr. James Espinosa, I am Jeff Garcia. Now you're in focus with Spurs in Focus.